And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We've been speaking this hour with Ellen Gottlieb, founder of Enlightened Parenting, all about how to be an enlightened parent. So, Ellen, we've been talking a lot about the kids and how to really show up and be present better for our kids. What about when we have to deal, because nobody lives in a vacuum, our kids interact with other kids. How do we as enlightened parents deal with the unenlightened parent whose kid is maybe causing a little bit of anxiety to our kid? How do we deal with the other parent?
It's really not our job as parents to try to teach other parents. I really believe that going to the child's parents and trying to make your case is not the best route. It's always, in my opinion, the most effective to deal with your own child. Ask your child how it felt when they saw that parent deal with you or with their own child in such an awful way. My daughter came home once so upset that a neighbor had yelled at his own child and called her lazy and stupid, and she was besides herself. So we simply had our discussion about how does that feel to observe that, and what does that mean to you. And sometimes parents really don't know how to be the best parents, even though they're trying. I never put another parent down. Okay. But it's always, the parents are always trying and doing what they think is best and right, and they often just simply don't know. Mm-hmm. So as children grow, they start to learn that we are just people, that we are not perfect, that we do not know everything, and that we are just trying to grow ourselves up and help them find their way. So sometimes an unenlightened parent of another child is a wonderful tool for growth.
So I'm curious, in that particular circumstance, after you said that to your daughter, how did anything come of that? Did she, go to the other child and say something to her, or did she just sit with that sad feeling?
It's not her place to go to the other child, nor did she, nor did I. Okay. We simply watched and we observed, and we learned from it. Okay. And my hope was that maybe that child in my home would learn that there's a different way that we interact and that we speak, that we don't judge, we don't blame, we don't criticize, we surely don't label. Right. So they're all tools for growth. Now, there's one more difficult situation, which I've dealt with frequently, which is one very conscious parent in a home, and the other parent, the co-parent, being quite unconscious. Much more complicated. Yeah,
and actually we got a comment on the Facebook live stream related to that. Ta asks, so what designated an enlightened parent? I've spoken to many a person who swears that they are enlightened, and I see them guiding their children into not very cool places.
Well, it's a self-designation. There's no certification. Right. It is ironic to me that we need licenses to do many things in the world, and we don't need one to do this most important sacred task of parenting. Yes. But we don't. And so people designate how conscious and well they believe they're doing in their parenting tasks, and that's for no one else to judge. Right. So, but it is difficult when, let's say, the dad doesn't believe in some of these paradigms and wants the kids punished, because I do not believe in discipline. Okay. Wants the kids in timeouts, wants them to have all kinds of very negative, outcome for a certain behavior, and the other parent doesn't. And it's all about learning.
So what do you advise let's assume it's the one who doesn't is the one who's coming to you and they're asking for advice. What would you tell that parent who's dealing with their partner who's maybe not on the same path as they are on when it comes to this stuff?
Well, the unconscious parent isn't going to want to talk to me.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm always dealing with the conscious parent, and I tell her or him that one conscious parent is better than none. And sometimes as kids age, we have to start talking to them realistically, without ever blaming, without ever putting the other parent down, that sometimes people behave differently and in ways that we don't like. And even your own parent may do things that we don't agree with. And everyone has to make their own choices. And we start to learn that life isn't perfect, even in our own homes. And, we have to explain to them. It's not fair not to explain why the parents are, in fact, parenting so differently.
Right. Yeah, and to just let them understand that parents aren't perfect, right?
Far from it, right?
And
Thank
that,
goodness.
and that, you know, I mean, especially as little kids, we have a tendency to think our parents are gods, and we're not. We're human beings, and we do things right and we do things wrong, and, you know, things get mixed up sometimes, don't they?
And I believe we're all trying to do the best we can. Most of us have a very favorable, positive motive.
Right.
We just don't know, you know.
Right.
And that's what I tell parents. When your child came home with a C grade, that may have been that child's best in that moment for a myriad of reasons.
Right.
So let's let it go. Let's look into why it happened.
Right.
But let's also not really attach to it. These grades just do not matter.
Right.
And I know that's a huge paradigm shift, and people don't want to hear it.
Yes.
The name of the college, the grades, none of it. It's the internal sense of self that's going to catapult your child or not.
Right. I mean, you know, there's been study after study, like more self-made millionaires were like, you know, college dropouts or high school dropouts and never went to college. I know, and I personally know more people who are like doing things today that have absolutely nothing to do with what they studied in school. You know, they may have gotten a good college degree, they may have graduated summa cum laude, and they may be doing something completely different. So, you know, we have a tendency to think, right, that like, you know, we've got to go to college, we've got to get good grades, so we got to, you know, get out and then we'll have a great job, and like that's what we're going to do for the rest of our life. And it's not the case anymore. Life is much more fluid, isn't it?
Much more. I tell my girls, and you know, they're in their 20s, that life is a great zigzag. And here I am deciding in my mid-50s what I want to do when I grow up. And so if I may share a quote with you that I said earlier.
Yes, please do.
Instead of asking your children what they want to be when they grow up, be the role model and ask yourself, what do you want to do when you show up?
Yes. Oh, I love that. What do you want to do when you show up? Beautiful. So, given the time of year, we're kind of like creeping into Halloween and heading towards Thanksgiving. It's time of year that we traditionally talk about being grateful. How do we present Thanksgiving to our kids? Especially now, there's like all this talk about, you know, Christopher Columbus being such a bad guy, and the Pilgrims and the Native Americans. You know, how do we deal with this whole topic of gratitude?
Gratitude to me is an essential boundary. It's something we do want to teach our children. We do it by example. Shall we continue? A parent who comes to me and says, my teenage kids have absolutely no gratitude, would make me question that parent. Have you given them everything without boundaries? Every time a new dress was desired, did you run out and buy it? You know, every time there was the slightest of need, particularly the need to conform, like the new jacket or the new boots, did you run out and buy those things? Because the way to cultivate gratitude, counterintuitively, of course, as best parenting is to not immediately jump to meet every desire.
Right. No, you don't need to have instant gratification.
Exactly. And we also can teach gratitude through service of our own, get our children involved in service of others right now, whether, you know, to help victims of all of these natural disasters.
Right.
But not just to send love and prayers, which I believe the energy is so important, but I think there are also concrete things we can do and teach.
Right.
And I think we also need to hold back on so much giving.
Right.
So, and show our own gratitude, of course, for all of our abundance.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that I love, and I'm the first to admit I haven't done it enough myself. But when I just love hearing about when people say they, like, on Thanksgiving Day they'll go work in a soup kitchen, you know, and that you know, and being in service and helping those less who have less to give them something. That I think that's a great lesson to also teach our children, isn't it?
It's an essential lesson,
you know, and that to show them like, hey, we really do have a lot to be grateful for.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things why I love, you know, traveling the world, is when we see other places, I think it makes us appreciate what we have at home that much more.
And teach your children what's enough.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful home. We have a place to live. We have nourishment. We can go to a supermarket and purchase that which we want and need. That's abundance.
Yes, absolutely. So, Ellen, unfortunately, it's the end of our show. It's gone by so fast. Thank you so much for coming in studio. If people want to get in touch with you or learn more about enlightened parenting, well, where can they go? What can
I
they
have
do?
a website through which I can be contacted, enlightenedparenting.co. That's .co for coach. Enlightenedparenting.co. I'd love to hear from anyone, or ellen@enlightenedparenting.co. And I thank you for this very special opportunity to speak with you. It's been my great pleasure.
Yes, it's been wonderful, and I do hope that if you've missed any part of the show today, that you will catch it on the website. The podcast will be posted later today. So thank you all who are listening through Talkradio.nyc. Thank you everybody on the Facebook live stream. So much love and so much interaction. I really appreciate it. Just as a reminder, we do this every week, 12 noon Eastern time on Thursdays to 1 p.m. You know, I try and get my guests in studio as much as I can. When I can, I get them on the phone, but I hope you will continue to join us. I forget who I have on for next week, but I'm sure it'll be an amazing show. Have I ever let you guys down? So please continue to join us, and absolutely stay tuned, because coming up next, Oscar Nordstrom with his show Off the Beaten Path, talking about as our engineer Rob likes to say, his show is as eclectic as a menu in a Greek diner. So I think you will enjoy him. He always has a different perspective on all kinds of things. Followed by Is It Plugged In with Adam Weinberg. He's also in studio today and he's got a brand new show. So thank you all for tuning in on the station on the Facebook live stream, and we will talk to you next week.